2022, another year of climate and weather chaos around the world. Records shattered in extreme heat, drenching rains, heavy snow, and devastating droughts. Lives upended and forever changed in 1-in-1,000 year events. But it was also a year of action. The government passing historic legislation to help combat climate change and make for a more resilient nation. As we look ahead to 2023, there's hope on the horizon through mobilization, innovation, and a global sense of urgency. The United States invested more money than ever before to address the crisis. Sweeping legislation made planning and paying for a greener future possible. A new spotlight shone on renewable energy in the wake of the war in Ukraine. But climate experts warn global progress has been slow as governments around the world face looming energy and financial crises.
2022, a violent year of climate and weather extremes. From heat waves and drought to catastrophic flooding and hurricanes, the impacts reverberating around the globe. So far this year, $15 billion weather disasters hit the U.S., according to NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The final count yet to be tallied. The first billion-dollar disaster came in the spring when warmer temperatures fueled 3 deadly tornado outbreaks in as many weeks. Run! Spawning more than 200 reported tornadoes across more than a dozen states.
It's very devastating when you know, like it's all your hard work is just going up in the air.
In the West, sections of Yellowstone National Park were devastated by destructive flash floods. Roads were washed away, and the park closed to the public for the first time in 3 decades. Climate change causing the atmosphere to be warmer and wetter, making conditions ripe for these types of events.
It was very surprising how quickly it came.
This summer was a story of extremes. Europe had its most intense heat wave in recorded history. London set a historic all-time high of 104 degrees. Back in the U.S., 6 1,000-year floods occurred in the span of 5 weeks in July and August. Places like St. Louis, Dallas, and eastern Kentucky deluged with 8 to 15 inches of rain in just 24 hours. Death Valley received its entire year's worth of rain in just 3 hours. The footprint of climate change leaving its mark across nearly the entire U.S. Parts of the West baked in the most severe heat ever recorded in the month of September.
I've never dealt with something this hot before.
Nearly 300 weather stations hitting their hottest temperatures in places like Salt Lake City, Reno, and Sacramento. Meanwhile, already extreme drought conditions in the region worsened. Lake Mead's water level plunged to its lowest yet. The Bureau of Reclamation declaring a Tier 2 water shortage for the first time ever, hoping to avert a water crisis. After a slow start to the hurricane season, Category 4 Ian roared ashore southwest Florida with winds topping 150 miles per hour, tying for the 5th strongest hurricane ever to strike the United States. Neighborhoods in Fort Myers and Naples left in ruin. Warmer waters are acting as jet fuel, causing the storms to rapidly intensify. Just as the season was coming to a close, Category 1 Nicole became the first November hurricane to make landfall in nearly 40 years. Scientists attribute this to warmer sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean, this year running up to 3.5 degrees above average.
Nicole is the nail in the coffin for Daytona Beach shores. Ian came in and did all this damage, and now Nicole is just putting us away.
In upstate New York, winter arrived early when a massive November snowstorm rewrote the history books, burying neighborhoods and even the Buffalo Bills stadium under 80 inches of snow.
There's nothing in the store. You can't get a loaf of bread or anything.
Finally, with eerie similarity to last year, a series of deadly cool season tornadoes ripped through the South. More than 100 reported over 2 weeks across 7 states between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
This is my house right here, y'all. My house is just gone.
The December twisters, part of a massive week-long cross-country storm that dropped 4 feet of snow in the west, brought blinding blizzard conditions to the upper Midwest and dozens of tornadoes to the south. And the year's not over yet.
We know the climate crisis can feel incredibly heavy, sometimes even hopeless. Rising temperatures are not just a threat to natural resources across the planet, but also critical to infrastructure that's essential to our daily lives. Stronger storms are happening more frequently, and they're stressing our fragile electric grid, sometimes leaving people without power when they need it the most. The U.S. energy grid being pushed to the brink by more intense weather and climate events.
We're almost guaranteeing that the grid is going to go down in some respects.
Every source of power that the state of Texas has been compromised.
Now, new technology known as microgrids are offering a more stable and sustainable solution to keep the power on while keeping up with today's climate challenges.
Microgrids are kind of an interesting opportunity, I think, to visualize reforming a grid and control energy at the grid edge, so closer to the consumer. We're bringing control back to the consumer.
Microgrids, powered by renewables, act as a small-scale electrical energy grid that can operate freely from traditional grids.
It decouples you from some of the contingencies that may be external, that you don't control.
According to the Department of Energy, there are only about 160 operational microgrid installations around the U.S. That number, though, is expected to boom in the coming years, largely in part due to major investments by the U.S. included in the Inflation Reduction Act, billions of dollars to expand the use of microgrids, and major tax credits for manufacturers.
If you go back to 1929, you could always help your neighbor out by bringing them a cord of wood or a gallon of kerosene, but you could never bring them a gallon of electrons, right? You can't bring them electricity.
Microgrids now making that a possibility. In Tampa, Florida, a first-of-its-kind neighborhood is looking to prove those neighborly benefits in partnership with the local utility company. 37 homes, all equipped with solar panels and energy storage, working together to feed a microgrid. Michelle Johnson recently moved into one of them.
They said, "You'll be on the microgrid," and I said, "What is a microgrid?"
The whole process is simply a solar panel that can convert the energy from the sun into electrons, and an energy processor like the Block Energy Block Box here that can take that energy, send it to your home, send it to a battery, share it with your neighbors, share it with the grid in a way that's efficient and effective.
The recent Hurricane Ian testing the resilience of this system.
It was no issue at all. We didn't lose any power. We felt very secure being here with the microgrids and the solar panels. We had neighbors down the street who did not have this system, and they did lose power.
Now, she says it's something she can't live without.
I would never move into a home that does not have it. I would look around for it, yes. Because it's safety, it's security. It's common sense to me.
2,600 trees are being planted every single day with TeamTrees.org.
Planting more than 20 million trees over the last 2 years, and now turning their attention to our beaches.
The idea here was to crowdsource the biggest ocean cleanup ever. And you went about it first by sort of targeting other influencers to kind of get them on Team C.
And week by week, that team is working together to achieve that goal of removing 30 million pounds of waste.
Feels heavy.
There it is. We got 26 pounds. And again, it's important to remember that is just plastic.
Just in bottles.
Just bottles.